was a tweet from Ben Feller, not a famous guy, just a regular fan, but it was on
Just
my
a
For You
feller.
page. Yeah, just a feller. So it was on the For You page. I wanted to read this out loud. He wrote, "The Caps have made it out of the second round once in Ovi's career. Why isn't anyone screaming about how they didn't do enough for him? Through two ownership groups and four different general managers, the Penguins went balls to the walls to win cups. It's amazing it lasted as long as it did." And I know you had some things that you wanted to say, so I will give you the floor.
So here's what I'll say about this tweet. I wish that it started with here's what I wish was the whole tweet. Through two ownership groups and four different GMs, the Pens went balls to the wall to win cups. It's amazing it lasted as long as it did. Agree, wholehearted. Got no problem with that. Comparing this to Ovi and the Caps makes no sense to me. No sense to me whatsoever. No one, he's asking, why isn't anyone screaming about they didn't do enough for him? It doesn't really like matter right now, nor does it like,
You could argue they did.
yeah, exactly. You're comparing like apples to oranges. To me, that's why, like, it's a very like, oh, the Caps, and I'm not saying I'm any different, but to me, this is a Penguins fan who the Caps Penguins rivalry lives rent free in their brain. And I'm the same exact way. I always, it's natural to like compare Caps and Penguins shit to me because I'm always just like, fuck them. I want to be better than, but to me, that's like kind of where that first part of the tweet comes from. It's very much like, well, like fuck the Caps and the OV or whatever. Like, but I'm like, all right, it's a completely different situation. Like, contracts are different. The future of the team is super different. Also, Nick, you're right. You could argue they did. The future of the Caps is bright and it's kind of already here. Like, they retooled in a really ridiculous amount of time.
Look at all the moves that team made from like 2014 to 2018 when they did win the cup. I mean,
yes,
you're talking about
the playoffs last year, and
right.
Probably maybe gonna miss again this year, and like whatever. But I would fully expect us to compete for a playoff spot next year, and whatever. Yes, we only made it out of the playoffs once, but that's not again. That's also not really the fault of the Caps not doing enough for him. If anything, every year they made like crazy trades to try and add people like freaking Shattenkirk and whatever other random ass acquisitions we made all those years that didn't help. But it's still like, it's not that they didn't do enough.
Dustin Penner.
Oh my god.
That's
why I'm kind of like, it's not that they didn't do enough. It also doesn't, it just doesn't really make sense as a comparison to me. But I totally agree with the second part of the tweet. Like, I would totally agree with that if I was a Penguins fan.
There was one tweet I sent you guys, and I think you both agreed with it, and it explained the Caps Pens parallel really well. And it said, near the end of their careers, the Caps star players trailed off, but their management excelled. And that's why they're still kind of competitive at the moment. Whereas the Penguins management failed them, but their star players still excelled.
Yeah.
And that's why they were relevant up until now.
Your previous GM took the plug out of the boat, then set it on fire, and then pushed it into the middle of the lake.
Yeah, man. Like,
and then the new GM is like trying to dive into the water and
got like a squirt gun trying to put the fire out.
Kyle Dubas has probably the hardest job this summer, I would say.
It's tough.
To compete, but build for the future all at the same time. I mean, I give you guys credit. Look at the Caps, like Lapierre, McMichael, Protas. These guys, they come up, they've gone through Hershey, and they did it the right way, and like it's kind of paying dividends right now.
And then you draft a guy like Ryan Leonard last year, and he could be in the NHL scoring 20 goals next year, maybe.
And Harry, I think you nailed it. You said those guys went through where? Hershey. Yeah. That program has been the pillar of success in the AHL for the last, 20, 25, 30 years.
That is huge.
McMichael and Lappy and Protas took time to develop. Like, those guys were not NHL players even a year ago.
No, they both went and won a fucking Calder Cup last year, and look what that did for them.
Exactly.